All right, I'm cutting in here real quick. So as a lot of you know, I will film usually 3 episodes at once and then put them out over the next 3 weeks. So I did that here. And the news broke today, or at least the first time I've seen it, were the civilian massacres in Ukraine, with all the pictures and everything coming out. Well, it is a little too close to the episode you're about to watch. I was like, great. And I debated just deleting it and maybe trying to figure out, start over or something. But I asked my son, who plays more role-playing games than me, said, don't do that. You just follow the game. You had no idea what was going to happen in the real world. So I said, okay, I've changed the title. So the title had to do with, it almost looked like a headline. So the title's been changed now. You've seen it. It's Molotov. We'll just leave it at that. Everything's been left the same. I haven't changed anything. And you'll see it develop and where it'll end. And it is a key element to kind of the continuing story, and it happened organically. So it is what it is. All that being said, as war goes on in Ukraine, I've been in the military, been in law enforcement 27 years. Sadly, as soon as it started, you knew those things were maybe not to that random kind of extent, I guess. I don't know. Artillery fire into cities, that's what's going on. So let's just get into the show. I'm just letting you know I've changed the title, but everything else has been left exactly as it was. I've just snipped this in. Hey, it's the Chief on with Board Games, episode 15, Evil, Twilight 2000's 4th edition. We left off with there's all kinds of command tensions going on between Major McGiffin and Kanan Krieg. So, of course, Kanan, this is his base of operations here anyway, but he's brought in these 100 troops commanded by the Major. Krieg, again, for those that don't know, he commanded a contracting company, PMGM, and has some nice gear and stuff, but he's running like a small group of 6 marauders, 4 of his own operators that are, other ones are out and about, long time lost, who knows where they're at, and a couple clerks. So the enforcement of this group is definitely the 100 troops. We're operating under, where is the book? Under 48 laws of power, and it was law 42, which is strike the shepherd, scatter the sheep. We took that as Krieg trying to exert his command authority over the Major, and if you've seen the prior episode, that failed big time. Krieg had a bunch of 50 cals pointed at him. It failed so bad. So we're preparing to do a debrief, standard basic debrief of the op that failed dismally. And what I'm trying to figure out is, as the op goes, Krieg's got to be true to trying to still scatter the shepherd, which is the Major, who was not on the op, but irritated Krieg when he sent out his Humvees to do the pickup at their ambush site before Krieg called for it. So let's just start. Everybody's got their food. They're gathered around. The normal way a debrief like this would go is it's clearly led by the person who ran the op, which is Krieg, but it's done in a way that is normally designed to make ops better. Krieg is going to use this, as he would, as more of a power control move. So that's how we'll move forward. So Krieg starts with a positive. He gives kudos to let's say the Major's first sergeant. I kind of want a name. You know what? We'll go with my drill sergeant. Drill Sergeant Wilson, but we'll call him First Sergeant Wilson. We called him Drill Sergeant. He didn't know this mule kick. In basic, he would make us do these mule kicks, which is jump in the air and kick yourself in the butt with the back of your boot. and do it until somebody falls out. A lot of fun. First Sergeant Wilson. Drill Sergeant Wilson was an African-American guy, very commanding, very knowledgeable, and with a twinge of humor. But when you thought he was making a joke, which I think he was, he would then wear you out. So it was like you couldn't even laugh with him. But there was still this like humor in his eyes. So that's it. We'll stick with Wilson, and I can flesh him out based on those. So a touch of humor, a lot of capability, and skill. And there we go. So Krieg gives kudos to First Sergeant Wilson as far as the insertion. So he says, hey, perfect insertion. I couldn't have asked for anything better in regards to the insertion than what you did. And he kind of defers to First Sergeant Wilson, and he says, appreciate it, studied the maps. I'd talked to each driver, and as you know, I was in the lead vehicle. I didn't even know that, just making that up as we go. He says, anytime we will enter in, I will use a different way out. And I want everybody here to recognize that, use that themselves if they're running an operation similar to the drop-off pickup. One way in, different way out. You go back in, you go a different way back in again, and again a different way out. And he breaks this down, boom, boom, boom. They then move to the first problem with the insertion. As they roll up, you guys remember they get out, and the Humvees are starting to head out, but they've got a tagger in spray painting. He points out, so Pacheco and Sanchez and Krieg himself, Krieg says, well, we run into what I think was probably a tagger, and he says we take him down quiet, meaning they use their silenced weapons. Now, anybody that's watched that episode knows Krieg's a terrible shot, and he emptied about 15, 20 rounds, I don't remember exactly, but half his mag in his M3 grease gun, and he missed. And Pacheco and Sanchez punch out with pistols and take care of the problem. But Krieg, of course, says, we took out the tagger. There's a few sideways glances from the Army troops. We've got Arthur, Clifton, Wagner, and Anderson that were the military troops assigned. I'm going to throw in that Jan, who's the, we did a full character sheet for him. He's the Marauder leader, and we determined when we did that sheet that he's hideous. He's basically been burned at some point in time, and his ears are kind of like not full ears anymore. He is like in awe of Krieg, and so he intones out something like, great takedown. Great takedown. And again, the troops, the four troops that were on the 240s and the 249s are kind of like, at night, dumping rounds. Not probably everybody could tell where all the rounds were going or who did what, but I would imagine at least a couple of them realized the Pim Jim guys with pistols seemed to be spot on, and Krieg was doing what's kind of come to be known as being heavy on the trigger and light on the sights. So there's a little bit of like, nobody's saying anything, but the troops in particular kind of like, yeah, he's a crappy shot. I'm curious to see how that goes, and let's get in a little randomness here. Maybe something a little worse than that happens. I want to see, do these Army troops just let that go? I don't want to just tell what's going on here, but I believe 81, so we're going to see what this does here. 81 is excitement, okay, and 4. Outside. What would be outside excitement? I'm thinking it's going to be in these guys. Outside excitement. Okay, this is off of what this is. But I'm thinking the orphan kids are out cleaning up this mess. If you've seen the technical takedown, you know what that vehicle looks like inside. They're cleaning it out, and outside excitement would be, all right, we'll ask a yes or no. Do these orphans somehow trigger the gun or some kind of, I would imagine that heavy machine gun's there. Do one of them trigger? We're still at a chaos of 7. I believe now that we're back to base, the chaos factor would come down 1. I'm going to put us as a chaos of 6, and I believe it's probably somewhat likely that these orphan kids, 16, 12, and 10, who are cleaning up the mess of the technical, maybe triggered off that heavy machine gun, Russian machine gun that was in the technical. So let's do somewhat likely, chaos 6. That means if I get an 80 or under, that's what happened. 97, which is an extreme no. So extreme no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Okay, well, what would be outside excitement? Hold on. Part of the thread of what just happened was that there was angered citizens. And let's ask, is this maybe the citizens doing something to the base? It could be shooting into the base. It could be mortars into the base. It could be a Molotov. It could be anything. I like it. I think, okay, there's anger. We know it's not the kids, and it's an outside excitement. Let's do the same thing. I think it's somewhat likely that the citizens of Nizhno are doing some kind of strike back somehow. We'll figure that out. That's going to move us into some action if it is. So same deal, 80 or below. Is that what's going on? 56. That's what's going on. Let me ask a further one. So is this going to be... What would be the odds of like a mortar strike? Seems like it would be a little bit more controlled from like Bartek. That would be like them saying, drop some mortars in on those guys. I think the citizens were mad, and we know they saw the dump of the people, and they shot, and they're generally angry at what we're doing anyway. I don't think it would be mortars. Is it a Molotov cocktail? I'm going to go 50-50, so we need a 65. Is it a Molotov cocktail? It's 50 even, so yes. Okay, I like it. The citizens could definitely throw a Molotov cocktail in. Okay, now, the main deal is they couldn't get it too far. It's just a bottle with gas and lit and tossed. That would cause some outside excitement. I don't think they could get to the howitzer that's at the main gate. So the question is, does that start a fire? Don't go too far away from the fate chart because we got outside excitement going on. Does that cause a fire? A Molotov cocktail, I believe, is going to be likely to cause a fire. Sometimes not. Depends where it lands. We're going to go under likely. Chaos is 6. We need an 85 or less. 95. So it's not an extreme no, but it's a no. So it does not cause a fire. Interesting. So I'm going to say that this Molotov cocktail comes over, there's a wall along this, there's a wall all around this hospital compound. And there's even a checkpoint at the front. We've got this open area. Again, I'll throw up the picture of what I've drawn on some graph paper. I'm going to say this Molotov cocktail comes flying over the front checkpoint fence and just hits the road area where nobody's at, breaks, and just kind of burns there in like a 5-foot pool of fire. It doesn't do any other damage. There's nothing else that's going to burn or catch fire, but the road there is burning. That would cause the excitement, but it wouldn't cause a fire because it's going to burn out as soon as the fuel is burned out. But what would we get? I think you would get that the shouts. I think they're going to be yelling, we got problems at the front gate. And it's definitely going to cause a stop to this debrief. Whether or not we come back, I don't know. All right, so everybody bails out of the chow hall, still got their weapons in hand. They see the fire over there. I think Krieg's going to try to assert his command again and say, give me some troops to the front gate. Give me some troops to the front gate. And Pacheco starts moving that way. I think Sanchez, with his hurt wrist, moves that way as well with just his pistol in his hand. And you got the kids that were cleaning out the vehicle, the orphans, just kind of watching. So using command, I want to know, I know his guys will go. That's 2 dudes right now. Does he get, do the rest kind of follow based on what he's shouting out? So we got 2d12. A 5 and a 2. He's going to push it. Could take some stress here. If he gets a 1, we got a 12 and a 7. Got it. No stress. 12, 7. I think what that tells me is 3 successes. He shouts it. Command order. There's the fire. Clearly threat from the front. And the troops just start. I mean, he's got the guys in the Humvee. He's got his other guys with the 249s and the 40s. I think they just respond to this. The command voice is definitely there. Krieg's an A empathy, A command, and there's a clear threat. And I picture a couple Humvees wheeling around, and the 4 machine gunners that are with these guys and Pacheco and them, they move to the front checkpoint. I like it. I think they would. I don't think you get all the Humvees rolling, but you get a couple of them rolling around and maybe coming up to see if they can get their guns on. Because up in a Humvee, you can, I guess we'll have to see how tall this wall is. I picture, if it's a 12-foot wall, which I think it is. If I went and looked at Street View on Google. I think it was a 12-foot wall. So the Humvees probably can't see over the wall, which is actually good for them. They're safe. But they roll up to the gate to see if we've got anything. Do they see any citizens at the gate? I think it's probably likely. I don't think it's one person with a Molotov. So we're going to go likely, chaos 6. Wrong dice. Wrong dice. And we've got 33. So yes, they see somebody. I think Krieg sees a small group. And are they? Yeah, I think we already know they're aggressive. I think Krieg's enjoying the command. I think he just gives the order, light them up. And, shoot them down, basically. And so his guys are moving up, and maybe some of the 249 and the 40s are on their feet. But the couple Humvees came up. He gives the command, light them up. I want to go back to the command dice. His guys will follow this. That's going to happen no matter what. Do the military troops follow this? 8 and a 2. So they would. I want to do, does the major come in and countermand at this point in time? Major is an 8-sided die and a 12. He got a 4-3. He doesn't push. So light them up, and they do. So we've got a couple 50s, and Krieg's crew firing at this group of these citizens. And I don't want to roll under like shooting. I think it's at the group. I want to go with a card roll, I think, on this. And because we got 50s involved, we are dealing with night vision, but let me see how devastating this is. A jack, yes. They light this gaggle, this group of what looks like militant Niesnoians, probably way off there. Sorry to anybody in Niesno. This is a fictional world. None of this is real. And they light them up. And several are able to run away. They get out of the area, but there are multiples that are put down right in front of the gates. Does one of them even have another Molotov, and when it falls, it breaks? Let's just go 50-50 with a chaos of 6. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, it's 17. So it's yes. Well, I think while the boom, 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 and the guys and Sanchez with his gun and everybody firing into this crowd, I think either someone who's hit falls down, or somebody drops one as they're running away, or it gets hit. Oh, let's go even better. I think somebody holding it, it's hit, and that lights it, because it was lit, it lights on fire, and you've got someone who's even sprayed with their own Molotov cocktail and creating quite the scene. Whew. Talk about angering the citizens. The citizens are mad, and they're getting more mad. A good command move. So let me list a positive command move for Krieg. And I think he'll even put out ceasefire. Ceasefire, he's still in command. And he'll put the vehicles out that responded. He goes, pull out, let's go check these guys. And they come out to, I think they're going to go out the folks that they've put down, because some are wounded. You've got the guy on fire, and right off the bat, Krieg is just going to empty a mag into the guy that's on fire. Whether or not it's out of anger or out of mercy is up for, that is up for, I don't think we need to roll. He walks right up on him. And again, normally this is a defenseless enemy, and you can take a mental stress, but we've got in here with Krieg having the serial killer side that it doesn't affect him. And so he just puts him down, and I'm going to say puts out the order to gun everybody up after he does that. Is that command followed? Because we're going down a dark road here. 5 and an 11. 11 is 2 hits. Yes, he does his. He gives the order. No quarter. Put them all down. And you've got 50s, and I wonder if Pacheco, is Pacheco going to take his shot? Pacheco has a Law and Order feel to him. So would he follow this? He's got a sidearm +1. His moral code is Law and Order. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Well, let's ask. I don't think he would. I think it's highly unlikely that he would engage in this. So let's go unlikely, chaos of 6. It means it's still 50-50. Oh, I said highly unlikely. All right, very unlikely is 45. Not much difference. So very unlikely that Pacheco would engage, but does he? 54. So no, he does not. Pacheco holds his fire, but the Sanchez and the other military folk do not, and everybody here is shot, put down. I think Krieg even orders one of the 50s, light up the perimeter, and you just get some and hitting the buildings across and anywhere where somebody could have been hiding. Now, the positive to this is, I would say, this is a control moment. We're going to move the chaos factor back down to 5. Back down to 5. This is an over the top. You don't throw Molotov cocktails over our fence, period. If you do, you die. So we're going to move it back to a 5. Under the continuing thread of, I've got angry Niesno population, I'm going to say that's exasperated. We've already got problems. The the surprise, what was it? Excitement outside was the Molotov. That's going to continue being a problem. Matter of fact, I think that's what we're probably going to be building toward as I look at this. I think the problem with the population in general is going to lead to at least a little bit of a larger conflict. Interesting. It's actually very interesting. We'll have to see how that works out. But I believe that's probably the thread of this angry population is it's been escalating, and this is a pretty big, not only are they throwing Molotovs over, but it's an overwhelming violent response back. All right, we will pause there. I'll do a little bit of the experience here on that one. We'll do that off camera. Thanks again for following along. That was interesting. I actually didn't think we were going to get into any of this. I thought it was going to be, I was more worried it was going to be a little bit boring with just a debrief, but thank you to the excitement outside, that didn't happen. And more orphans. We've got to learn more about the orphans. I want to know, I need to know more about the orphans. So we'll also learn a little bit more about that. And I like the fact in this one that Pacheco held fire. Interesting. So having him more fleshed out and him being law and order, he did not, I don't think he had a problem with the guy on fire. That's a mercy. But then it's this overwhelming no prisoners deal. Not his style. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.